Hi, my name is Stephanie Fernandez, and this is my glider project. So, the details of our project was that it had to be less than 16 inches by 16 inches, and it had to reach a minimum of 20 feet. We could use the materials we found at home as well as the knowledge we had learned so far and any additional research that was needed. I researched using a tips on how to build a balsam glider through a website. The design process started with the limitations, which were the 16 inches by 16 inches, and then the requirements, which was the 20 feet, and the test flights, and then the iteration. So with the limitations, the glider had to be 16 inches by 16 inches. Originally, I decided to design my glider to be 60 centimeters by 60 centimeters, which is very similar to 16 inches by 16 inches. However, after testing that with cardboard, sadly I don't have a video or documentary of it, I decided that it would needed too much mass at the nose, and I did not have the materials to design that aircraft. So afterwards, I began a new design that shortened the fuselage to 34 centimeters and the wingspan to 38 centimeters. The aspect ratio increased because I decided to do a slight taper to the wing. So this slight taper increased the aspect ratio by increasing the span and decreasing the area. The taper was only 0.92, which was very minuscule. However, I did see a significant increase in the aspect ratio, as well as the tail dimensions. I tapered them as well to get a better aspect ratio. With the requirements, the plane had to reach the 20 feet. When I tested out, I calculated the center gravity with only 1 gram of mass at the nose, and this seemed to be the optimal CG. However, when I tested it, it very indeed was not, and it was very aft of where it needed to be. So I added mass to the nose to eventually get 5 grams on the nose of the airplane. So after adding those extra 4 grams to my aircraft, the CG location ended up being 16.86 centimeters, which was only 1.86 centimeters behind the quarter chord. So the longitudinal stability definitely became positive and increased after adding more mass to the nose. And instead of the plane just nosediving with a negative stability, it instead had a positive stability where it would decrease and then come back up. And this also was seen with the original design. The plane would very quickly stall and nosedive to the ground. However, in the final design, it lasted a lot longer until it stalled, and then it could recover a little bit from the stall. Here are the videos. So these were my first two initial designs with the change in the mass and the change of the wings and the fuselage. And this was my final design. Due to the wind on this day, it caused the plane to turn to the right a little bit, but my design, whenever tested the other couple times, it was very stable and did not turn. So the lift coefficient, I found the V by getting the average distance of all my test flights and the average flight time to get 10.83 feet per second. I also had a weight of 27.31 grams. However, I had to change that to slugs for the density at sea level. The area was 0.299 feet squared, and so the lift coefficient I calculated to be 0.001642. The induced drag was 1.832 times 10 to the negative seventh, and the induced drag and the other drag added together to get the coefficient of drag, which was 3.664 10 to the negative seventh. This was my flight test day. It did not perform to what I expected it to do. I believe that this was most likely due to my design even though it was an increased aspect ratio, I believe I could have tapered the wings more to increase aspect ratio even more to give it more lift, and then I could have adjusted the CG accordingly. I also felt that I maybe could have decreased the height and chord lengths of the tail aspect of the horizontal and vertical, and this would have decreased the mass of the glider in total, as well as I could have shortened the fuselage and the wingspans to also decrease the mass of the glider, because I felt that had a big effect on the glider's capability of gliding farther. This is the 16-inch by 16-inch, and the outside of the blue line is where the 16 inches is marked. And here's my citation for the website I used and one of the cardboard prototypes that I had. Thank you.